Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight as we get started here. Adoption of agenda for regular meeting. Under provisions of the Public Meeting Law of the State of Missouri, the board must adopt by roll call vote an agenda that includes the time, date, place, and tentative agenda for the meeting. A copy of the notice and the agenda for this meeting was posted on Friday, July the 5th, 2013. Friday, August the 9th, 2013, at the Administration Center, 1005 Waterford Drive, Florissant, Missouri. At the same time, copies of the notice and agenda were mailed to major radio and television stations, to 4 newspapers, to all municipalities, to all schools in the district, and posted on the district website. Need a motion to adopt the addendum.
I move we adopt the
Second. Been moved by Mrs. Hogshead and seconded by Mr. Martinez. Mr. Chabot, call the roll, please.
Mr. Ebert.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Schrader.
Aye.
Mr. Hogshead.
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Martinez.
Aye.
And Mr. Morris.
Aye. Item 3, adoption of agenda for closed meeting. Section 610.021 of the Missouri law provides for discussion of certain agenda items in closed meeting. Notice of the proposed closed meeting, including the agenda item was to be discussed, was posted. The board will, by roll call vote, must authorize holding the closed meeting and approve the proposed agenda by reference to each subject to be discussed. The agenda for the closed meeting is personnel, section 610.021.3. Need a motion to adopt the closed meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Schrader and seconded by Mr. Martinez. Mr. Chabot?
Mr. Ebert.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Schrader.
Aye.
Ms. Hogshead.
Aye.
Secretary votes aye. Mr. Martinez.
Aye.
And Mr. Morris.
Aye. UDA All-American Dancers. Are any of them here? Come on up, girls. Come on up, ladies. And their sponsors. Come on, come on. Don't be shy.
Come on, Coach Allen.
From June 20th to June 23rd, 2013, Pommies from McClure and McClure North High School attended the Universal Dance Association dance camp at Southeast Missouri State. 4 students received special recognition at the camp. McClure North senior Kyra Smith-Jones and McClure's Taylor Smith auditioned and were selected to perform as All-American dancers on January 1st, 2014 in London, England. Miss Smith-Jones and Ms. Smith were among only 10% of all those that auditioned to be selected for this honor. McClure North seniors Paris Bigley and Brittany Spiva were selected to perform in 2013 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. These achievements represent years of hard work and the perfecting of techniques in order to be selected for these special performances.
Item 5, Superintendent Board Update. This portion of the meeting is allocated for the board to provide an update of current activities and events in the district that may be of special interest to the board members and the community. Mr. Ebert.
Well, I want to greet everybody here, and I guess on the personal side, I enjoyed a 2-week vacation with the family and got back to the lake. I was got back from the lake and was kind of disappointed at the election results, but I want to thank everybody in Rance Thomas's group who worked so hard on it and you know, really attacked it. There were a lot of things during that time, I think, that you know, influenced it one way or the other. Also want to mention Kim Benz's group, the opposing group. I mean, I'm passionate for anybody who gets passionate about public schools. So hopefully we can merge the two groups and see what we can go from here with, and make it just an awesome, more awesome district than it already is. Thanks.
Mr. Brown?
Push.
Okay. Well, hello there. I'm vacation's over. Had a nice vacation. Went to South Carolina, and for about 8 or 9 days, and came back, and we had that opportunity of going to the back to school fair, which was just terrific. Enjoyed it immensely, and now we're starting the school year. That will be a terrific school year, and I'm looking forward to all the activities and things that we can attend.
Mr. Schrader?
I really have nothing at this time, thank you.
Ms. Hudson?
I just want to welcome everybody back to school for another year, and thank you, Dr. McCoy, for the wonderful beginning, and Dr. Diggs and all the principals and teachers here in the audience. It was a great back-to-school start, and I also was at the kickoff on Saturday, and we had a wonderful crowd, and it was just good to see so many families and friends out there having fun. So and I also want to thank Dr. Rance and or Dr. Thomas and Terry Prophet and Brian for their wonderful work on the working for the tax issue, and I thank everybody for what they're doing for our children.
I want to thank the entire staff of the district for getting this school year off and rolling in a good note. This is a big year for me. My son just started as a freshman at McClure, and that entire process was great, and he's actually waking up well before me to come to school, so that's always a good sign. I also want to thank the committee for the Ferguson-Florissant Cares, who were proponents for the Prop A, for all their hard work. I also want to thank those who opposed Prop A, from the fact that for the first time since I've been on this board, I really felt that a conversation was taking place about the district and where we wanted this district to go, and what's working and what's not working, and that I really hope that we don't waste this opportunity and we're able to continue that engagement, because it's only for the betterment of this district.
Mr. Martinez?
Yeah, quickly, likewise, I just want to thank everyone who worked on Proposition A, and I think really echoing what these folks have already said, and what I know what Dr. McCoy has said is, the public spoke loud and clear, and they weren't ready for that, and that just means that again, it's an opportunity for us to communicate better, to do a few things better, and to find common ground, so that all of us can do exactly what it is we all want to do: have great schools, continue to have great schools, and then have better and better schools each and every day. So to me, that was not the end of anything, but rather it was the beginning of that opportunity. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. And yes, the failure of the bond issue, or tax levy rather, to not make it is the beginning of the work that we're going to have to do this year to ensure that students in this district get a great education. continue to get a great education, I should say. There's a couple other things that I have on my plate tonight. I have a resolution on House Bill 253 that I'd like to read and have the board adopt if they so choose. And Ferguson-Florissant Board of Education, whereas House Bill 253 would undermine the state's economy and quality of life and make Missouri less attractive for businesses, investment, and whereas House Bill 253 would reduce state revenue by more than $800 million, and whereas House Bill 253 would jeopardize the ability for the state to provide adequate funding for public schools for years to come, and where the foundation formula for funding public schools is already underfunded by approximately $600 million. And whereas House Bill 253 would also jeopardize the ability of the state to fund higher education and other critical state services. And whereas Missouri already has one of the lowest state tax burdens in the nation, and whereas House Bill 253 is a physically irresponsible bill that would threaten the credit rating of the state and increase borrowing costs for the state. Therefore, it is resolved, Ferguson-Florissant School District Board of Education on this, the 14th day of August 2013, hereby agrees the General Assembly, or urges the General Assembly to sustain the veto of House Bill 253. Do I have a motion to accept the resolution?
Motion to accept.
I second.
It's been moved by Mr. Martinez and seconded by Mr. Chabot. Let's do a roll call vote on this, please.
Mr. Ebert.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Schroeder. Aye. Mrs. Hogshead.
Aye.
Secretary votes aye. Mr. Martinez.
Can I vote twice? Aye.
We're not in Chicago. Aye. Well, thank you for supporting that. This is going to be a tough fight. They have enough votes, or they have enough people in the opposition to the veto to sustain it, override. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the veto session. One more thing I'd like to do is, Dr. Thomas, where are you at? I didn't see Brian or your cohorts with us tonight. Did they not make it? That's all right. That's all right. Come on up, Dr. Thomas. I just want to thank you publicly for all your hard work on the campaign, and sorry for the result, but I know you tried your hardest and you had a good team, and I just got a small token of our appreciation that I'd like to give you, and I know that doesn't make up for the many hours that you put in, but I really appreciate all the help. So thank you.
I do have a few written comments. I'd like to go through these with you to make sure I don't miss anything. Thank you, President Morris, for those kind words and for the recognition. Also to the board for giving us support in the campaign and your commitment to what we've done over the last few months. I'm sorry it didn't have a different outcome. It wasn't because we didn't try. We tried as hard as we possibly could to succeed. However, there's some opposition out there we weren't aware of when we began the process. And we had a fantastic team that worked together harder than any team I've ever known. It was truly a pleasure working with members of the team. I'd like to commend them individually for their incredible effort. Unfortunately, Brian and Terry are not with us this evening, but I would still like to recognize them. First, I'd like to recognize Dr. McCoy. He was fantastic. He's one of the hard-working and most dedicated individuals I've had the pleasure of working with. We worked together night and day, after him had worked all day, and on the weekends. He responded immediately to most of my requests, and of course, always relevant information. He's fully committed to the education of students in this district, and to maintain and even improve on the accreditation of the district. We couldn't ask for more. He's been a wonderful person, superintendent, and I'm sure that many of you recognize that. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Court, for giving me the opportunity to serve with you. Brian Fletcher was our co-chair. He was the former mayor of Ferguson and also a former school board member. He had another commitment this evening, but I'd like to still recognize him. And Terry Prophet, who was our treasurer. They both did a fantastic job. They exceeded our expectations of them. They responded promptly to the needs of the campaign and everything they could to possibly win the race. But unfortunately, we did not succeed. I'd again like to thank both of them. Then we had Jenna Short. She was fantastic. I worked with her night and day after a full day on the job. She worked diligently to provide information that helped me needed in order to be successful in the campaign. She always responded promptly and to my requests and did a great job. I couldn't have asked for more. She couldn't have done more. I really appreciate all you've done for us, Jenna. I also like to recognize Ferguson-Florissant NEA and Missouri NEA. They were great in their involvement. They sent cards to members, provided phone banks, plus make calls, also made robocalls to the various elected voters within the district. And thank you, Sandra and Luann, for your support. Thank you. We did far more than enough to win the election, but we were able to get the parents to the polls. You may recall when I first spoke before the board a few months ago, I said there were 3 types of voters: registered voters, elected voters, and those who show up to polls. We did everything we could to get the elected voters to the polls. We just sent them emails, information cards, telephoned them, talked to them personally, and made robocalls to them. We could not have done more. But for some reason, parents did not show up at the polls. Once again, I'm very sorry we did not have the result that we wanted, but we did all we could to win this campaign. Thank you once again to the board and to the district. I wish all of you the best in the future and hope that you will have great success in the future efforts. Thank you very much.
President Goforth McDougal couldn't be here today, so I got a chance to speaking with for any Ferguson-Florissant NEA.
I have an email that was sent to the executive board of the FFNEA, was also sent to the school board members and Dr. McCoy. And Ms. Goforth McDougal asked me to read this tonight. Dear FFNEA members, the Board of Education, and Dr. McCoy, I wish I were here, however, could not be here due to illness. In the last several years, we have faced many challenges as educators. I will not dwell in the past, but I do wish to recognize the ongoing nature of the stress on our employees. Teachers and staff are now struggling to transition into larger class sizes, which also means larger workloads with fewer resources. Salary freezes, overburdened household incomes, and a seeming rise in personal illness points to these continuing and devastatingly stressful times in education. Our employees need a message of hope from the board. We need to rebuild morale. As Heike Chan has pointed out just yesterday, we were in a meeting yesterday, morale is a major contributor to success. She is right, and it is a truth we ignore at our peril. We cannot continue to let stress break down long-standing and worthwhile relationships. At the risk of sounding hokey, and I gotta remind you, this is Sandra speaking, we must stand together and prepare. These challenges are not over. We need to be there for each other so that we can be there for our students. Submitted with respect, Sandra Goforth McDougal.
Thank you. Mr. Spo?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. I just want to let everybody know I will not be attending next month's board meeting due to personal scheduling conflict. So just want you to be aware of that.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to add Mr. Thomas, Rance Thomas. I've gotten to know him a little bit on the personal side the last year. He does wonderful things, and his organization does wonderful things for our children in this community. And I'm proud to say that I know you, and proud of all the work that you do for these kids. And I'm mentioning this publicly just to say, if anybody has a chance to hook up with his organization, it is the most worthwhile organization. And this man definitely is an honorable person who went into retirement and probably has done more for kids since he's retired. And I just wanted to say that publicly. Thank you.
Dr. McCoy?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I need about 7 minutes. I just want to set that straight. So I'm talking a little bit for 7 minutes. There's so much to share. But I do want to first start by thanking the board for the comments they just made about moving forward, understanding the community, and also the resolution that they just passed. I want to also thank every person in this room that was a part of the team, our staff, the union. I mean, we all worked so many hours. It's just impossible to even quantify. It was morning, noon, and night. Rance Thomas, he taught me what humble servant leadership is about doing this. I mean, never a complaint, never a moment in juggling family health issues while doing this day and night. It was just angelic as well as heroic, and never looking for a compliment. I learned so much from you on that, and I appreciate you. Tim Jones and his spirit and his to-do attitude in moments where there could have been better organization, and him saying, so it's just an opportunity to show heart. Tim, we thank you, sir, for standing strong with us. Mark Belvin at Rotary, who spoke up and spoke to the entire Rotary group, saying a very important piece of data that I want everyone to hear, and that is, he threw me a softball at Rotary, a softball question, and I was like, Mark, you know the answer to that question, but it then dawned on me, but nobody else does. And he said, Dr. McCoy, is there a mechanism by which the board can reduce taxes? And the answer is yes. Every year, the board has to set the tax rate in September before every year. And it's the opportunity by which the board can reduce taxes or go to the ceiling. And so that's something that's not common knowledge, evidently. And I thank Mark for making that clear and allowing me to share that with Rotary. To share that, I'm going to even say tonight's agenda has an item on it in which it's all about showing how little our debt is with embodied indebtedness, 30 cents versus 90 cents at Hazelwood. And that's a reduction of taxation here. The board does that every year. So there's a lot of information we have to get out. But Mark, thank you for making that clear and making that known to Rotary. The thanks go endless. But I do have to say the union stepped up in a way that without them, in politics there's something called AstroTurf. So when there's a grassroots movement, which Kim Benz, I met her and I loved her before this and I love her after this because she's a woman with spirit, and I will talk about her in a second. But when you have a grassroots movement, which is something that has occurred, it's helpful to have AstroTurf. And AstroTurf is when you have the money and the technology to get the word out to large groups of people without having to have 1,000 people do it. And that's what the NEA brought, without a cent, without a murmur or complaint, from phone banks to telephone workers to foot soldiers to mailings, and it was sincerely met. And without that, we would not have gotten as far as we did. To Kim Benz, I went to her house on Sunday after going to Paul Schrader's house. I think the Spirit was leading me, and I just told her, the results weren't out. I said, I admire your fight. I admire your spirit. I admire what you're after. I admire what you were telling people who were on the no side that were going a little bit further than you, saying more about things beyond taxes. And I admire that you publicly said, if it were a lower amount, I would be in support of this, but this is just too much. That shows that your heart was being honest and following and being truthful and transparent with information, and that's commendable. And so I thank everybody, the board members that got involved, some of which you gave personal time, gave money, $600 and more, gave effort, gave energy on weekends. That is what we are about, and that was, I must say, in my time being here, I've never seen the sense of such togetherness as a team as doing this, and I'm just humbled and happy to have experienced that level of teamwork on something together. It was healthy. For me, this loss was a win because of those things. Because the frank matter is, to achieve what we want to achieve for education for kids, it's going to take that kind of teamwork every day for children to make great things happen. So I'm thankful for those things. Thankful that I ran into the board member at the end of the table, Scott Ebert. We got a joke, it's not Brian. Scott Ebert at church one Sunday. He happened to be there with a young man he was mentoring voluntarily, and I happened to be there speaking. And that was a blessing to see his entire family. True community togetherness. So, you know, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged for a lot of reasons. I really am. I said it on the night of the defeat of Prop A that God sent a ram in the bush in so many ways, even financially speaking, by a game changer of the transfer law, which, to be frank, there have been discussions about it even a year earlier. Because the court case was public, there have been discussions about it, but the timing of that was a game changer on so many levels, to the election, but also to our finances. And it's not about money, it's about doing what's best for kids. But when you do what's right, then somehow God, faith, or fate makes the rest all right. And that's how I took this whole situation. We're just trying to do what's right, and the rest will become all right by and by in time. So it's been a journey that we needed, and a journey that we will continue. Having said that, I immediately got to action. And on the screen, there have been some people who had asked, and even the board, to make it clear of a 3-year vision for the district. And at least from where I'm coming from, not to say that this is a directive, this is what I see. And I do know that a vision without resources is just a hallucination. I'm aware of that. A vision without resources is just a hallucination. But without a vision, the people perish. So I made it that's exactly right. That's Thomas Edison. You got it. Yeah. So I made sure that I put down something so simple, A through F, about knowing that this did not pass. What is the vision? It's simply accreditation or beyond has always been my focus, and it's been the vision. To focus on students and strong academics. That's who I am. That's my main focus, and that's the team's focus that's around me, and the teachers and staff. I'll talk more about that, but it means getting back to the basics of making sure students can read, write, speak standard English, and do it at high levels, and then do enrichment things that support that in career pathways, robotics, chess, things that have been mentored by Brian and me, everybody around the table. But it means focusing on strong academics. B is better buildings. Better buildings require attention. It really is a different pot of money. It's bond money. One thing during this whole tax levy, some individuals were stating, some employees, how could you vote yes for a tax increase when you see people getting new furniture, administrators getting new furniture? That's an interesting statement. It's one thing that we have to do to correct naysaying statements in the middle of a campaign to share the positives, but the second thing is it's simple. Anything physical like furniture and technology comes from a total different pot of money. It's called bond money. And the money of a tax increase is for salaries, essentially, for the most part, 80%. for classroom sizes to pay for more teachers. So it's not only feasible, but it's required that we keep the promise to the community when the community did a no tax bond issue in 2010 for the next 5 years to spend $7 million, $6 million to $7 million on furniture and building repairs. We took that to the voters and the voters voted yes, and to not do that would be to violate what the voters said to do. And so that's something that any person who said, why are you buying furniture, why are you asking for taxes, has to understand, because we promised the community we would repair the roof for Ferguson Middle, which we did, buy new furniture for offices that haven't been replaced for 7 to 10 years, and buy computers for students and a new computer software system. So, but having said all that, better buildings are still more important. We don't look like Hazelwood. And I mentioned how Hazelwood has 90 cents of debt to make brand new buildings, new middle schools. Hazelwood North Middle School being one of the newest, and others. It takes more bond capacity. Alonzo's here, and he told us in April, Ferguson-Florissant, you have the ability to do a $35 million bond increase with no tax increase right now. We can build 7 schools with $35 million. We can repair and reface and restructure and make more efficient nearly every school with $35 million without a tax increase. So that goal right there, I believe, is something that anybody who voted no from the opposition, including Kim Benz, can agree with. No taxes and better things for our children, better air quality, better everything. And it's something that I know this board has wanted. I know that 2 board members went through buildings looking at windows and said, why are our buildings looking better? So that's crucial. C is about community engagement, empowerment, and enlightenment. We have to engage our businesses, Emerson, Boeing, Monsanto, and ask them for more than just the $100,000 check that they write. Now, it's already something that they write $100,000 checks to us, because most school districts don't have Boeing writing $100,000, Emerson Electric giving $200,000 to scholarships for kids, and Express Scripts giving $70,000 a year. We need them to double that, because the demand and the need is double, and the economy is tough, but they have a lot of money. Enlightenment is about enlightening the community that don't have children here. So parochial parents or seniors who have no children, enlighten them on how Ferguson-Florissant has changed, what we offer that no private school in the area offers. No private school in the area offers Spanish 5 for college credit. Project Lead the Way, which Paul Morris taught, for college credit with no cost to the college course. Other things such as that, a state competing robotics team, driver's ed courses that make your insurance for driver's license and driver's insurance less, which will be on the agenda tonight. It will be served through community education, so that the parochial schools can pay to have their children come get the simulators at North. And community education has created marketing tools to let every parochial school know, as well as others. So that's engagement to the community in a different way. We have to turn it up quite a bit. Decreasing discipline. Bottom line, we've decreased discipline as a district. I'm going to just make the numbers plain. In 2006-07, Susan Monty, the state auditor, did an audit across the whole state of Missouri, and I'll quote the statistics. Ferguson-Florissant School District had 14,853 suspensions. That was a whole lot, too much in my opinion when I entered here. The city of St. Louis, and we had 12,000 students, so more than 1 per child. City of St. Louis had 14,350 suspensions. They had 28,000 students, and they had fewer suspensions. They had a half of a suspension per child, where we had more than 1. Hazelwood had 5,300 suspensions, a little bit over that. So it was imperative that we see what is it that's causing this. And we looked at structures and brought that down to a level that keeps kids in schools but still gives them discipline. Well, that's an important goal, because a kid has to be in school to learn. While on the same time, it's important that we discipline students and be tough on foolishness, because there's no time for foolishness and there's no place for violence. So we see an increase in individuals having violent behaviors, but the overall group is reducing their goofy behavior that led to those suspensions. Out of the 14,800 that the district had, I must share that 93% of them were for not following directions, tardies to class, and for disruptive behavior. So it was not for violent incidences, not for fights, not for drugs, not for guns, not for anything that was violent. 93% was for late to class, not following directions, and being loud, disruptive behaviors, being loud. And those are subjective terms. So we put norms in place to not have those subjective things lead to varying consequences. There was also a policy that the district had at that time that said if a student had 2 Fs or more at the high school level, they could be suspended from school for the rest of the school year. It was a no-nonsense kind of attitude in this district at that time that said if you don't come to learn, then we will tell you you legally can't come. The educational attitude in society has changed quite a bit from even 2006 to the point that if a hospital sees somebody very sick, and we have a universal health care law that says everybody needs insurance, and if a child has 2 Fs or more, then school is where they need to be most. And we all agree about that. But making sure that they're in the right place, maybe an alternative school, maybe an internal alternative school, a school within a school, maybe another setting beyond that, approaches service to send them to Flow Valley to get a diploma because they're so far back that it would take them until they're 21 to get a diploma. Those are what we're doing now to decrease discipline, but at the same time take a hard stance. So we're going to continue to look at eliminating the violence in the classroom and taking a hard stance, but not a no tolerance attitude, because that leads to incarceration, simply put. It just does. All the data research supports that. Early childhood, people are asking, okay, so what's going to be cut from early childhood? Early childhood is who we are. We were the birthplace of parents as teachers 43 years ago and early childhood services, so we will not be cutting that. We will cut other stuff to preserve that and even enhance it, because it's the sure-proof solution for higher achievement, and it's who we are. We don't want to have an identity crisis. Extending learning opportunities that are after school and Saturdays, we're going to be looking to raise money to do that, but we're going to have to do that to keep achievement high. And lastly, F for fiscal stability. That means a balanced budget and working on 15% reserves. You're going to see Laura do a presentation, a financial update, which is the ABRS report, but you're going to see where our reserves will be without Prop A and where we'll be in light of additional revenue from transfer funds once that comes in. But the goal is balanced budget and 15% reserves, working towards 20%. These are things the board has already mentioned and desired to solidify it. The additional part is the foundation. We have begun the work to start a foundation. We have the manual, the packet, the legal guidelines, the advisory committee being formed to lead to the board, the foundation board. And we've been talking to certain people as to who might want to serve. I hate to pick on the same people, but people that are in this room are most poised, and I've said this to some of them, most poised to be of great service towards a foundational board to support getting funds, $1 million every year for children and using it. So not just having it sit in the bank account, but raising and using it every year. So that's pretty briefly, in my opinion, the best 5-year goal or 3-year goal that as a foundation that anyone with worth their grain of salt of caring about this district would write and demand and ask for. So because of that, I have to I'm going to shift gears to say where are we right now, and I know you can't see that if I can't see that, so not that enlarging it is going to make you any better at understanding it, because I have a hard time understanding it. So I'll make this really simple. Since A was for accreditation, the big question is, where are we for accreditation? We've always been fully accredited. We currently are fully accredited, and we have 9 standards under MCEP 4. But MCEP 5 is the new set of rules that DESE will start in 2015-16. Last year we were 8 points from being fully accredited under MCEP 5 last year, 8 points. We had 91 points total. That's the most important column here, 91. I sent a letter to everybody in the community by email, mailed it home, and put it on the website. It's still up there, 91 points. The goal is 98 points to be fully accredited under 2015-16's rules. We are 1 point away from being fully accredited under rules that don't even currently apply to us, under higher stretch goals. MCEP 5 is a top 10 by 2020 set of goals. So the analogy is this: the bar has been raised from a 10-foot goal, like in basketball, 10-foot basketball goal, to a 20-foot goal, top 20 by 2020. It's harder to achieve accreditation for multiple districts. There are districts that would be provisionally accredited that have been always accredited. I could name some of them, but I won't because of camera and media. Those are mostly white districts too that I've said, just be candid, that are now provisional under MCEP 5. So to have us go from 91 points last year to 97, 1 point away from being accredited from next year's goals that won't even be enforced about 2 or 3 years later, is remarkable. It's the right trend with a $5 million cut while doing it with fewer staff at the school level, including the cabinet level, working with 4 cabinet members mid-year last year, and still moving to be 1 point from fully accredited, and it's our goal for HOD, and I've been working night and day to get that 1 point. I was in Jefferson City talking to the commissioner and the governor about that 1 point, and I believe we can do it. And it's crucial to do it for the kids, but it's even more imperative for the whole community, because you know what media does. They'll publish 1 point from accredited, and that's enough to be provisional. And it puts a black eye on a community that doesn't need any more detention, or black eyes. Secondly, the state gave the commissioner and the state board the power to unelect or basically remove every board member once accreditation has been lost from a school district within 30 days of the loss of accreditation. That's unprecedented. That means that your vote means nothing. The state will control it and disempower the people that are sitting here in front of you. So accreditation is important, and having 97 2 years before it's in place is a tribute to a lot of hard work from a lot of great people, which we should be really proud about. The next thing that I had to show, because there's been a lot going on and people have asked for it, is information about transfers, students who transfer from Riverview or Normandy to Ferguson-Florissant. I want to communicate from the inside out by just showing you, if you go to our district website, some things have been added to the site, so I'm doing it as if you're at home doing it. Once it comes up, should go to our website. You will see the total numbers, the numbers of students enrolled, and you will be able to see school by school where they were enrolled. So you go to the district website, click on the link that's it's loading. It says information about the case. I have the word Clayton in it. So we can scroll down. I could just say it. It's a page with a lot of pictures. It takes a while to go down. All right, so it's this 4th bullet, information about transfers. Click on that, and transfer enrollment comparison. Click on that, and it will tell you our current enrollment as of today. So I'll try to tell you, cut to the chase. This is all about the students who have enrolled from Riverview and Normandy. I've been clear that we will treat each child as our own and take any family that comes through our doors. Having said that, we have the 2nd largest amount of students in the area, only seconded to Francis Howell, who has transportation. We have a total of 400 kids enrolled with 425 applications overall, 425. Those 400 children are represented here in saying 4 kids at Airport, 24 from Bermuda, 24 at Commons Lane, and 25 at Griffith, and those are the highest. Every other elementary school is less than 17, or 17 or less, 11, 6. So ultimately, then when you break the students down class by class, even at the school that has the most in one class is 5 kids in the 1st grade class. Most 1st graders are just learning what school is, not to mention, what unaccreditation is. So it is no climate change. no threat, no issue. 5 children, being the largest. Bermuda having 6 in kindergarten. They don't even know what school is. They're learning how to walk in lines. They're learning what school is. Every kindergarten teacher knows that, kids don't know what school is until they get their aided commons lane. So I applaud Amy Cacciatore and Gwen Diggs and Amy Joyce and Nicole Weissel for every day at 2 o'clock meeting to specifically place children at each classroom as they enroll, so that it was seamless, not harmful to any current student or school, nor staff, nor building, nor child from Riverview or Normandy, not to mention all of our children, as I said at the first. And we have space for 1,300 students and still not being above DESE standards. So that's important to note. The high school level, the numbers are just as small and not noticeable. For instance, Berkeley Middle School, 13 kids in 7th grade and 4 kids in 8th grade. Cross Keys Middle School, a total of 10 kids total. Ferguson Middle School having the most, 23 students total. And they're not in one class, they're on teams and they have 5 teachers each, so they're spread out to the point where it's 5 kids, 3 kids in the class. The same impact. And the same is true for high school. So the overall total, like I said, it's right at 400, it's 397 students that are transferred. Was that done to our overall enrollment? That's the question that may come next. Well, before this, we ended the year at about 11,380 students. Now we're back to where we were 4 years ago, which was part of why we needed money, because we had fewer students. Now we're back to 11,800 students, which come with the ADA or the $10,600. And so that has a significant unintentional supportive impact to our district and to the region, because I'm very clear about not having North County dollars go to places that aren't where North County people live or have ownership, because that's just in the end does not serve anyone well. And so we have relationship, connection, ownership of North County, and we are by definition a lighthouse district because people have chosen to overwhelmingly come to us. That's something to be proud about, to be honest. It's something to be proud about, and it's something that I know that is only true because of who you are as a community, because you were this way before I got here, so I cannot take any credit about that. I'm just glad to be one in the number to say, okay, I'm proud about Ferguson-Florissant because you were here too, little guy. That's who I am. But you were great before I got here, and you got people wanting to come because of that. So, money-wise, I think I've answered the question and showed the place to find more data as far as more numbers and critiquing it. Money-wise, where does that put us? I'm just going to say a soundbite because Laura will be up and has a whole PowerPoint on it. We had a deficit of $3.6 million that we went to the community to ask for increases of funds to help close that. We've enrolled 400 students, therefore we have about $4.2 million that we are entitled to receive, but haven't received yet. And that when those funds come in with a $4.6 million deficit and $4.2 million coming in, math says that it would essentially reduce the deficit. There will still be some, but it will reduce it to a much, 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 much lesser amount if those dollars come in. So for the finance piece, for those that have asked, and I have to say to the crowd, people have asked me to share this, so I'm sharing this because it's not about the money for me. We're going to use those dollars to educate all children, but dollar-wise, that's where it is. Having said that, many of the students who are coming need everything we can offer, and many of our children have needed everything that we had to get us to 97 points. So I was on TV just 2 days ago and said, we're not in the business of making a profit. We will use every dollar on educating kids. So it's realistic that I mean, I don't want to do this, but if it takes having a $4.6 million deficit as if we didn't get 1 cent, to educate kids and stay fully accredited and allow the board to represent with local control and not be on board and then use and borrow $3 million from our savings account that has $17 million in it, I'm all for that, because that's what's good for the district, for morale, for the community, for the kids. Accreditation first, money second. And so I've said as much as I can say in a short period of time as I can say. That's my report to the community. And I'll say that because of the great things we've done, there's so much love out there beyond Ferguson-Florissant for who Ferguson-Florissant is, that Monsanto gave both the Monsanto School of Excellence Award for closing the achievement gap, and that comes with $2,500. Vanessa Howard got the Salute to Excellence Award, and that comes with a little bit of money. I was blessed to get the Stellar Educator Award, and that comes with about $4,000. But the point is, it comes to let the community know, get behind this winning team and support. And so you should be proud about that. You should be proud about where we are. I'm proud to partner with Kim. I'm proud to partner with Rance. I'm proud to partner with anyone who is about our children and about our community. So with that, I say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and that's my report.
Audience participation. The board allocates this portion of the meeting for audience participation regarding items listed on this evening's agenda. Members of the audience who wish to speak to the board or requested to speak from the podium identify themselves and limit their comments to 3 minutes. In keeping with District Policy 4054 or 4059 and personnel law, speakers should refrain from making negative comments that are personally identifiable. According to policy, the board will not respond to public comments. Time is allocated at the end of the public session for suggestions and/or questions from the audience on other subjects. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to tonight's agenda?
Is this where you speak? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I feel like I'm speaking for the audience. Good evening. My name is Mark Bellman. I live at 768 Charbonnier Road, 63031. I live on the other side of the boundary. I need to start off saying a few things about myself. I am a member of the North County Chamber of Commerce. I'm an immediate past director of the Florissant Valley Rotary with Dr. Rance Thomas. I'm a board member on the Valley of Flowers Committee that puts on the event every year. I'm a board member on Team Food Pantry here in Florissant. I am the Boy Scouts North Star District Director. I'm about kids, and I do participate on a couple of other boards. I'm about kids, and I'm also about the community. I commend this school board for their graciousness and their comments this evening. But I will also say to the board that with these other groups that I'm involved with, we do not do a good job of telling the community all of the good things that we do. There are a lot of things, Doctor, that you expressed tonight that will never get out into the media. There's a lot of things, the positive things and the positive kids that will never get exploited outside this room. Our media does as good of a job as they possibly can. I fully expected, quite frankly, to see a room full of people tonight, especially those who did not support the bond issue. And I am not as kind as you, ladies and gentlemen, here on the board. I fully support the school district's efforts, and I want to make it very clear that even though I am involved with other issues and other boards, I will do whatever I can to help support the Ferguson-Florissant School District in making a positive change, not even a change, just get the positive word out to the community about all the good things, test scores especially. Things are going on in these school districts that if people don't get involved and they don't take the responsibility to get involved and get out here and sit in these seats, they will never know. And I do speak with passion, like I know each and every one of you ladies and gentlemen. Rance works his tail off as well as the other members. It's not an easy task. They do it because they care. I do it because I care. Ladies and gentlemen here do it because they care. And I really wish I'd see a lot more people out here, especially those who say, no, where are they being responsible? Thank you.
Hi. Some of you know me. My name's Kim Benz. I know I've been mentioned a couple of times. I wanted to actually introduce myself. I am a product of the district. I am a parent of the district. And as a parent, I wanted to just reach out to you and let you know that, yes, I did work to oppose this prop. And one of the main, I don't have anything prepared, so here. One of the main reasons why I did that is because originally I started attending meetings, again, as a parent, as a concerned parent, because of things that I see actually going on the ground in our schools. And one of the things that I really want the teachers to know especially is that everybody, even though those who voted no on the prop, you have our support, okay? There's other areas that we want to support you in. Discipline. We want you guys to have control of your classrooms again. I see so many things going on in the schools when it comes to discipline, and Dr. McCoy and I actually met yesterday, and I laid it all out. I had bullet points. He was like, well, you're ready. So I want everybody to know that, okay, right now, this room isn't filled, but again, the voters had spoken, the community had spoken, and because of the margin of that was not me that made that margin of 16% voting no. That was the community. I may have increased it a little bit, possibly. But deep down, I feel like the community more likely would have voted this prop down anyhow. But we have work ahead. Dr. McCoy, the board, I have people who are, willing to get in there, who work in the classrooms, who volunteer at the schools. What we have right here, this board meeting and people not in the seats, is the same thing we're also seeing at PTG meetings all over the district. At the very first meeting, we'll have 30 parents. By the second meeting, we have 15. By the third meeting, it's the same handful of people who were doing the same stuff last year. It's that trying to get people to realize that they need to stay involved, not just at the beginning of the year. So one of the requests that I actually, and other members of the community were like, well, why can't other districts, Hazelwood, other districts around us, videotape their board meetings? So I had put in a request to Dr. McCoy, can we start videotaping our board meetings? And there's 3 key things that we're trying to work on here. Accountability. People in the community want to know what the board is voting on, what the administration is proposing. Okay? Communication. Having it on the website and having people, even if they're not here, even if, we've got a lot of working community, working families. They're working evenings. It's hard for them to do this. If they can go on the website and they can still see what's going on, then that will hopefully get them drawn in, okay? And communication, again, with this, the board report, this video should be linked onto the board report, and therefore people can read the board report, see the decisions that are being made, And then if they have questions as to why, they can refer back to the video. And once they refer back to the video, they'll be able to say, okay, our board, this is the discussion that happened. That's what our community is asking for. Now, when it comes to the prop itself, basically, we want to try to get back to the drawing board and figure out what else can we do. Our argument was that the size of the increase, everybody felt like it was, those who, didn't really know what's going on in the district, especially, really felt like this was too much at this time. It was going to hit our families way too hard in this community. So let's get back to the drawing board, and if we can figure out a better compromise, we can both help financially and help with everything else, but we need to have both. So, thank you.